Good morning, it's time for a cup of comments.
I want to be a cup of joe, the first sip in the morning.
Jennifer Miano says, according to my kiddos, the 90s are retro now and cool, so it's all good. Side question, how do you like your coffee? Black, cream, sugar, no? Actually, I don't drink coffee like ever. What I'm drinking in these videos is always just water. Sometimes it's hot water in the mornings when it's cold, but mostly just water. Sometimes I try to pretend to be a tea drinker and convince myself I'm a tea drinker, but I'm not really a tea drinker. The only hot drink it turns out I really like is hot chocolate.
Cup of joe.
Alexandra says that she wanted to wear only one color, which was black, but when you wear black, all the dirt and dust and everything shows up on it. So, how did it happen that you wear only brown clothes? I remember that you used to wear only black clothes. You said something like that, and why did you switch from black to brown? Well, Alex, that's a great question, Dan. To be honest, I don't remember consciously making the switch, but I do remember one shift happened when I was visiting with some family around Thanksgiving time, and my cousin Jessica asked me, what's your favorite color? And I said black, because black is what I usually wore. And she was repulsed. She was like, black? Ugh. And I was like, yeah, what's wrong with black? And she's like, it's just so unnatural and just stark and dark and ugh. And that got me questioning, why is black my favorite color, or at least my favorite color to wear? And I realized it was my favorite color to wear because I thought it looked good. I thought it was sharp and sleek and classic and timeless and all those things. It just seemed like a good standard default. And I thought it just kind of popped, and I don't know. I felt more, I don't want to say powerful because it's a strong word, but I felt more, I don't even know. It just seems sharp. But as I explored myself and my own personality and my own spirituality, I realized that I wanted to become more of a natural person and more of an earthy person. And so I started looking for earth tones, and I just really fell in love with brown, I guess. I really like brown and green, actually. Those are my two. If I was to incorporate another color into my wardrobe and stuff, it would definitely be green. And green is the default of things that if I'm buying stuff secondhand and I can't find something brown, I try to go for green. Or maybe gray, I guess. So for me, when I wear brown, it feels humbler, if that makes any sense. I feel not as trying to be strong or stand out, but it's more of a grounded, earthy feel for me. Also, St. Francis of Assisi, who is my #1 hero, he always wore brown, so I can't go wrong, right?
Cup of joe.
Sherry Robinson says, I have been a minimalist for quite a while and I just can't get rid of enough to suit me. Some of my family thinks I need to keep at least some stuff, but I'm so over it. I'm ready to live out of a backpack and I always tell them that. I already sleep on a mat on the floor because it helps my back. My mom and Graham have been horrified. I've been living with my kids for the past few years and I just can't bear moving stuff from place to place. What should I say to certain family members when they say, you need to have some stuff, and if you had your own place, you would want that? I know I wouldn't. Okay, so let's break this down. So what it sounds like you're saying is that you're not happy with the stuff you have yet. You want to get rid of more. You've minimalized some stuff, but you want to go down even further. But you have sort of these outside pressures of relatives and people saying, don't get rid of all this stuff. You're going to want to keep it. You don't have your own house yet. So you might be fine now, but once you get your own place, you're going to want that stuff. You're going to want it. You have to. And you're saying, I know that I wouldn't. I just know. In a way, it sounds like I kind of am at a similar place with you, I feel like you mentioned you're ready to live out of a backpack, and that's how I feel right now. I'm just ready. I'm ready to just get rid of it all. I have one backpack full of stuff and be done. Now, what I don't have is I don't really have the outside pressures from outside people telling me that there's stuff that I need, but within my marriage, I have Erin saying that, and she's not, it's not a negative thing by any means. But there are things that she feels like we should have or we need to have that I personally don't feel that way. But that's a different story because we're within a marriage, so that's something that we're working through together. But for you, these outside people, they don't know, they don't understand, they don't get it. So for them to tell you that you will want this stuff, that's just... It's important to remember that they're coming from a place of love, and they're trying to support you, and they're genuinely concerned that you are going to sort of go off the deep end and not have things that you're going to regret. But it's more important for you to make yourself happy than for you to make them happy. So, I mean, for me, it's really easy. It's become easy for me to just tell people from outside my household, you know what, too bad if you think that I will need this or want it. I just won't. Sometimes what I have done in the past is if someone will say, oh, don't get rid of that, then I will just look at them and say, all right, well, then can you hang on to it for me until I want it? And then you'll find the true measure of how much they think it's worth hanging on to. See, they have no problem with you hanging on to it and with it cluttering up your life and adding to your stress in case you might someday want it. But yet when you turn the table on them and say, oh, well then can you take care of it? You find space for it until I need it. Then they're not so helpful anymore, I've found. So if you feel like it's too hard for you to just like resist them and always being attacked by them, then just turn around and say, all right, when can I bring that over to your house? When can you take it off my hands? Where will you put it in your space? And then if they say, well, I don't really want, then you're like, all right, so I guess it's not worth hanging on to, is it? Linda Thomas says, with all of the coffin talk, I'm curious about your thoughts on cremation. From what I've looked at, it appears to be the cheapest option, but I know many have issue with the thought. I have heard that too, that it's the cheapest option, that I haven't looked into it for myself. So how I personally feel about it, first of all, within the Catholic Church, we do not agree with scattering of ashes. So we don't agree with being cremated and then just like putting them in the wind or like scattering them in the ocean or over a cliff or whatever it is people scatter. Nor do we agree with like keeping them in an urn on the shelf. That's creepy if you ask me. But because you just have to bury the dead according to the Bible, that Catholic Church has deemed it okay to cremate the body as long as the ashes all stay together and get buried into the ground. However, how I personally feel is that I do not want to be cremated because I think it's important for me that everything that happens to my body after I die happens because of my family and because of like ritual and ceremony. So like that's why I don't want to be like all stuffed and glued and makeup put on, because when I picture people who don't know me just like manipulating my body to look good, that feels disrespectful to me and I don't want that. And it's the same thing with getting cremated. That's literally my body just getting lit on fire and getting put down to ashes. So if that were to happen, I would want it to be part of the ritual, part of the ceremony. So it would have to be like my family and loved ones gathered around and like words being spoken and then like body up in flames. But I'm not okay with it just being like a scientific thing, like my body just being shoved somewhere and strangers just like, I don't even know how cremation works. Like, is it just fire? I don't even really know. I guess I'd have to look that up. But I don't like the idea of really strangers doing anything to my body. I just want it to be my family and being respectful and loving. So that's why I do not want to be cremated personally. Dorian Watson asks, did your children get to choose what toys to get rid of? Trust me, I'm a hoarder because of that. I kind of hate it, but I cannot bear things being taken from me. And I'm 47. When I get rid of my kids' toys, I don't always do it the same way. There's different levels. Like sometimes when grandma takes them to McDonald's and they get Happy Meals, I always just throw those toys away the minute they're not looking and they never notice and it's fine. Then there are other times, usually after like birthdays or Christmas, when they get an influx of a lot of things, I wait it out and see what they play with and see which things get neglected, and then I will often just get rid of those without saying anything, and they don't notice and they don't care, and it's fine. And then there's other times when there's things that maybe they do play with a lot or used to, but now it's starting to go by the wayside, or maybe there's a similar thing that has sort of replaced it, or like a duplicate or something of that. And that's usually when I'll bring it up to them and ask them and say like, do you guys still use this? Like, do you mind if I get rid of it? What do you think? Should we get rid of it? And then sometimes they don't care and sometimes they do and they want to keep it. And then I might say something like, okay, well, we'll keep it for a little while longer and see if we use it. And then if not, we should probably get rid of it, right? And they usually are pretty okay with that. So that's how I do that. And then I'll just keep, reevaluating those different things. Because I agree that, you don't want your kids definitely shouldn't just feel like you're just like ripping their toys away from them because you're a minimalist. Like that's not what it's about. It's about being intentional with the things you have and keeping only the things that you use on a regular basis. Matthew D.N. Parsons says, I set HD YouTube vids down to 144p and it makes it seem more relatable, humble, etc. That is an awesome idea, but such like a counter-cultural one, like to take a really high resolution video and then scale the resolution down and really make it like a worse quality, but yet to make it feel more humble and not like you're watching it from like a movie star, but like you're watching someone just sitting in their room making a video like I'm doing now. Penguins close parentheses says, I've tried to go minimalist before, and then I went out of the country for a week with just what would fit in my carry-on. When I got back, I looked at my room and went, how the heck did I get so much stuff, and realized I didn't even think about most of it. Now I'm packing up several boxes worth of stuff to give away. I think this is one of the #1 ways to figure out what to get rid of, is to just go on vacation. Go visit someone. That's how I got started on vacation. That when you're gone, you're not thinking about that stuff. You don't think about your big book collection or like all those clothes. You take what you use and that's it. So I think that is such a great tool to really think about what you need and what you don't. Matthew Janenal says, if I remember correctly, you made a video in the past about having things in cupboards. Why is there a blender on the counter? LOL. Okay, that is true, Matthew. You bring up a very good point. I did talk about in a video about clearing the counters. It was my kitchen video, and like putting all of those, like the, I don't even know, the knives and the, what's the word? Wow, seriously? Whatever. Putting the knives and all of the ingredients and the blender and the coffee maker, just putting all that stuff into cupboards so you don't see it throughout the day. And I'm glad I did this, but since then Erin has started using the blender to make her coffee. I'm never there when she does it, so I don't know how that works, but she uses it every single day, and she doesn't put it back under the cupboards right under she does it, so it turned into just me putting it away when I got home from work and then it being there in the morning, which was just stupid. So I decided let's just find a place for it on the counter and leave it there. So we now have the coffee maker, and the blender stays out because Erin uses those every day, so why not? But I strongly suggest doing it with everything so that you can find out what are those things that are worth keeping out. It's a lot easier to just put everything away and then discover which things go out rather than trying to figure it out before just doing it. Julie W. says the music could make one suicidal. Julie, I am so sorry you feel that way. Salmon Asia says, salmon sounds like salmon. It's S-A-M-A-N. B-A-N-A-N-A-S. Saman Asia says, you are a great talker. If you'd leave out the goofy parts and film your videos with something better than a potato, it would resonate to more people. But then again, just do whatever feels right for you. Thank you very much, Salmon Asian. I will do what feels right for me, and I am loving this little potato right here for the moment. I might be getting a new potato soon, but it's just going to be a new laptop. It's not going to be an actual legit camera. But thanks for your comment. Becca BK says, I just want to say how much I love this video. This is a video that I made about how I consider myself to be a bad friend, and I'm just responding to this comment because I just really like this video and just thought it bears bringing up again that I feel like a good friend is someone who calls you out and says maybe you're doing something wrong or tells you how you can improve yourself. Not even necessarily just in a direct way, but maybe makes a comment here or there or makes you question yourself, ask you things. She says, because this is such an important point, so many people see their friends destroying themselves and do nothing out of fear of losing respect or losing that friend or whatever, but the well-being of the person is more important than your own pride or worries of stirring things up. And I don't feel like I'm good at that at all. In fact, I know I'm not good at that at all. I am like the guy you want to go to. I'm like a yes man, a no man. I'll tell you what you want to hear to make you feel good. Not on purpose, but I just like making people feel comfortable and happy. And I do that by just letting them be them and not challenging them and calling them on. So I am a bad friend. So I just wanted to thank you for bringing that up and reminding me, Becca, how bad of a friend I am. Matthew D.N. Parsons says, at 13, I was experienced and ready for more vocational relevant education instead of vague blackboard stuff. I knew I could broaden my life and mind in other ways if I chose a path early on. Oh my gosh, Matthew, you're so right. Erin and I have been talking about this lately, like how when you're that young, when you're like 13 years old or any age really, there's so much possibility. Your mind is still growing. Like think of how quickly you learn how to walk and how quickly you learn how to talk and speak a language. You learn an entire language at such a young age. And those years are the times when you could really become awesome at something like computer programming or woodworking or performing arts, dancing, drawing, any of those things, you could really sink your teeth into it and really grow at such a fast rate. When the way we have it set up now, I love your term big blackboard stuff. Like right now we have it set up that you have to learn all this useless crap. So much useless crap about that you don't care about and you'll never use in life, and you're not allowed to explore really. You don't have time to really explore until you go to college or after that, and after that your brain is like not really growing as much anymore, and it's harder to learn new things, and that's when we're allowed to start becoming creative. And oftentimes we're not even allowed then. I've heard of so many homeschoolers or unschoolers who have learned to do awesome things like, oh, what's her name? Dana Martin, if you've ever heard of her, she's big in the unschooling movement, and her son at age, I don't remember, like 16 or something, was making his own clothes. That's awesome. For those of you who kids go to regular school, I bet they don't make their own clothes. And I'm not trying to like be down on anyone who sends their kids to regular school. Like, that is your own personal choice, and maybe you have no other options. Maybe you don't have time to homeschool them, or maybe you think it's best for them. You think whatever. I'm not attacking you. But I am attacking the regular public school system. That system is beyond broken. There's so much potential. Kids have so much potential, and it's wasted. It's unfortunate. Brandon Holgerson says, February in a tank top? Crap, do you live in the tropics, or is your heat up? Okay, this is going to sound possibly weird, but I feel more comfortable often with less clothes on. Or maybe I was just trying to be like minimalistic in my clothing, but I do not live in the tropics. I live in Michigan, and it's freezing, and we keep our temperature very low to save on the moolah moolah. So I was probably freezing when I made that video, to be perfectly honest. Sarah M says, hey there, is it still hoodie weather in Michigan? It's already so hot in Texas. Love your videos. I'd like to see an intro to your wife if she's open to it. Smiley face. Oh, and how is the kids' clothes purge going? Well, after doing that February video with nothing but a tank top on, here I am in freaking April, still rocking the hoodie, living in the hood. Yes, it is still quite chilly here in Michigan. We've had our nice days, and it's getting warmer out. It's starting to get there, but can't turn the heat off quite yet. Okay, so as for the clothing thing, so what I ended up doing, I originally was going to organize them in a certain way and keep only gender neutral clothes and and then I just realized we need to let all these clothes go. It needs to happen. But I didn't want to make that decision without Aaron, so what I did is I put all the clothes, I just boxed them out, put them in those bins you saw, and just threw them in another room. And what we're doing right now is kind of like the minimalist unpacking thing, is we just packed up all that stuff, and then as the kids need clothes, we pull them out. And so after a certain amount of time, once I feel like we're ready to evaluate that, I'm going to bring it up to Aaron and we're going to say, okay, we're ready to get all that stuff. Maybe grab a few things for the future warm months that we need, and we're just going to let it go. I hope I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching. Let me know any more questions or comments that you have for me or for me and Aaron when we make our video together, which we will hopefully do soon. Thank you guys so much for everything. This has been your Cup of Joe.
Rating me in comments. It's fun to do. Feeling worse about myself all because of
Love you, bye.